Its energy surrounds us and binds us.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Carbonite Convos. So today we have something interesting and special for you. The first part of a new series we're calling Best Battles. And this one in particular is gonna be revolved around Spider-Man a little bit. But we're not gonna limit the possibilities of this segment, and we're gonna expand this to all heroes, Jedi, Sith, all of those. And we're really excited to be able to bring this to you guys. So let's go ahead and kick this first one off and get a little Spidey action going. So we're gonna go into my personal top 5 Spider-Man battles. Now this is very subjective, and I'd love to get your opinion on each one and see your order. But to kick things off, we'll go ahead and start with number 5. And this one's a little bit more lighthearted when Peter fights Miles from Spider-Man issue 2. In this issue, Peter is transported to the Ultimate Universe by a rift by Mysterio's equipment, who he's fighting in that issue. Peter comes to find out that the Peter Parker of this universe has met his demise and quickly runs into the new Spider-Man that is Miles Morales. The two Spider-Men duke it out, and despite Peter having more experience fighting crime, Miles is actually able to outperform him with his new powers and eventually knocks him out with one of his poison stings. Eventually the two team up to figure out how to defeat Mysterio of the other universe and successfully get Peter home in the process. And I really like that one just again because it's a little more lighthearted. Obviously, everyone knows I'm a big Miles Morales fan, and I just think that's a great battle. Number 4, we got the Sinister Six. After taking 2 back-to-back losses from everyone's favorite wall crawler, Dr. Octopus contacts every villain that has come into contact with Spidey after he escapes from prison. Electro, Craven the Hunter, Mysterio, Sandman, and Vulture are the ones who respond, and together they form the Sinister Six. Despite having the upper advantage when going to fight Spider-Man, none of the supervillains want to give up the opportunity of killing them themselves. So instead of teaming up, really, they decide to fight Spider-Man one-on-one, each at a time, and ultimately end up all getting their butts kicked. And obviously that was a huge mistake on the Sinister Six's part because they actually had a shot to take the guy down, and because of their selfish behavior, obviously, Spidey got the W there. We got number 3 coming up, and that's Iron Spider versus Iron Man from the Civil War. This one's super interesting just because I think people are big Iron Man fans. Obviously, the MCU is a little bit different than the Civil War comic. They're typically on the same side, but in the comic, the concept of Civil War, just like the MCU, revolves around a superhuman registration act that the U.S. is trying to implement. Mostly between Iron Man and Captain America, but Peter Parker, or Spider-Man, finds himself kind of stuck in the middle of the conflict. Originally, Peter agrees with Iron Man's pro-registration stance on the issue, and Tony builds him an Iron Spider suit as a result of this. But eventually, Peter realizes that he may have taken the wrong side in this fight, and things kind of get ugly when he confronts Tony about it. The two share disappointed messages in each other's ability to not agree on the issue, and the end result is them actually duking it out, and and Iron Man actually puts a huge hole into the side of the building that Peter's actually able to escape through and get out of that battle. And I think that just shows how delicate the relationship is between these heroes, and how difference of opinions can really form rivalry between them, as the Civil War comic really does. We got number 2 here, and this one's very infamous. We have Craven's Last Hunt. Craven the Hunter shoots Spider-Man, buries him, and dons the suit. Spider-Man is dead, or so we think. Craven roams New York, attacking criminals and pretending to be Spider-Man. Meanwhile, his true intentions are to successfully capture the creature Vermin, who last time Spider-Man needed the help of Captain America to actually defeat. 2 weeks go by, and eventually Peter rises from the grave. We find out that he actually only had been tranquilized by the shot that Craven the Hunter had put into him, and managed to survive being buried underground. Spidey ends up confronting Craven, and Craven releases Vermin into him, and there's a big, fight there. Vermin actually defeats Spider-Man, but before he can kill him, Craven intervenes He sets Vermin free and tells Spider-Man that his hunting days are over. Craven actually ends up going home and committing suicide with a rifle, while leaving evidence of the acts he committed over the past several weeks pretending to be Spider-Man. And Spidey is eventually able to defeat Vermin later on using some sensory overload tactics, basically leaving him defenseless. And then number one here, I think this one's extremely infamous. I think that a lot of people are going to agree with this one, and that's the night Gwen Stacy died. I think this is a turning point in the way that this character of Spider-Man is developed. But basically, Peter and the Green Goblin are squaring off on, we're gonna say it's the Brooklyn Bridge in this scenario, but Green Goblin abducts Peter's current girlfriend, that is Gwen Stacy, and throws her over the bridge. Spider-Man immediately shoots a web line at her and catches her. He pulls her to the top of the bridge, thinking that he had saved her, but in reality, when he pulled her up, he finds that she is dead of a broken neck. Eventually we find out that her neck was broken due to the force of Spider-Man's web catching her and the sudden trauma to her body. She just wasn't able to handle it. But obviously Peter blames himself for her death. Green Goblin ends up escaping the scene, and in the following issue, Spidey's actually able to track him down and beat him nearly to death. Although Peter can't bring himself to actually end a life, Green Goblin uses that time to send his glider, sending right at Spider-Man. But due to his spider senses, he was able to, feel that coming on and was able to avoid the glider. And basically, the glider instead impales Green Goblin and seemingly ends his life. But that's gonna do it for our list. Again, step one in the process of getting this best battles segment going. We're super excited for it, and we're really, really excited to bring it to you guys. Drop a comment in the comments below about who you'd like to see next, or any individual you'd like to see covered. As always, thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you guys next time.
Remember, the Force will be with you.